Have you ever noticed how often we talk, even when talking is not needed? In today's world, silence has become a rare gem. And yet, the most profound transformations in life often begin when we choose to remain silent. Keeping your mouth shut isn't about being passive. It's about creating space for clarity, wisdom, and miracles. When you hold back your words, you give yourself time to think, observe, and truly understand. Many of life's conflicts arise not from what people do, but from what we say in haste. A single unthoughtful comment can break trust, damage relationships, or create misunderstandings that last years. Silence, on the other hand, protects you, your peace, and the people around you. Silence is also a powerful teacher. When you stop talking, you start listening, not just to others, but to yourself. You begin to hear your inner voice, your true intuition. The mind, which is often cluttered with chatter, finds calm in silence, and in that calmness, solutions appear that were invisible before. Sometimes life itself seems loud, chaotic, demanding, and relentless. But silence is like a soft refuge in a storm. It reminds us that we are not our circumstances, that peace is always possible, and that miracles often happen quietly, away from the noise. When you practice silence, you also learn patience. You stop reacting immediately and start responding thoughtfully. You notice how people open up when you stop interrupting, how opportunities arrive when you stop forcing things, and how respect grows when words are measured and sincere. Remember, miracles do not always come in grand gestures. Often they are subtle, a healed relationship, an unexpected opportunity, a moment of clarity, or the simple joy of peace in your mind. And these miracles begin the moment you choose silence over needless chatter. So embrace silence. Let it be your friend, your guide, and your shield. Speak when words are needed. Otherwise, let the quiet work its magic. Life has a way of rewarding those who understand the true power of silence. Silence is often misunderstood and misunderstood in our world today. Many people see silence as weakness, as a sign of passivity, or even as fear. But in reality, silence is one of the greatest forms of strength a person can possess. There is a subtle power in choosing not to speak when words are unnecessary. It is in those moments that you demonstrate control over your emotions, clarity in your thinking, and wisdom in your actions. Think about it. Anyone can talk. Anyone can react impulsively, argue, or express frustration without thinking. But the truly strong person knows that not every situation requires a response. That restraint, that deliberate pause is the mark of someone who is grounded and confident in themselves. When you speak less, you naturally give more attention to your thoughts. You stop reacting to the world like a leaf blown by every gust of wind. Instead, you observe, reflect, and choose your words carefully. This is why silence is often linked with intelligence and maturity. People who speak after listening carefully are heard more, respected more, and trusted more, and trusted more. Strength does not lie in filling every space with noise. It lies in knowing when silence will make a bigger impact than any words ever could. Silence also acts as a shield. In heated moments when anger or frustration is rising, it is easy to say things we regret. Words can wound, relationships can fracture, and reputations can suffer. By choosing silence, you protect not just others, but yourself. You give yourself time to cool down, to analyze the situation, and to respond thoughtfully. This self-control is a form of strength that many people never develop because they are addicted to immediate expression and short-term validation. Strength is delayed gratification. It is measured, calm, and unshakable, even when the world is chaotic. Another way silence shows strength is by creating an aura of presence. There is a certain gravity to a person who speaks with intention. When someone is constantly talking, their words may lose value. But when someone speaks rarely, each word carries weight, attention, and meaning. People naturally notice and respect those who do not feel the need to prove themselves through constant chatter. Strength, in this sense, is magnetic. It does not demand recognition, yet it draws admiration and trust effortlessly. Silence also allows you to gain insight and perspective that speaking often obscures. When you step back and observe without immediately intervening, you begin to understand human nature, the dynamics around you, and even your own patterns of thought. This knowledge becomes a silent power, guiding your decisions and actions in ways that forceful speech could never achieve. Many of life's leaders, thinkers, and spiritual guides have emphasized the power of quietude, not because they lacked anything to say, but because they understood that real strength often works in the shadows of stillness rather than in the noise of words. Finally, silence is strength because it reflects mastery over oneself. True power is not in controlling others, but in controlling your mind, your tongue, and your reactions. When you practice silence, you demonstrate to yourself and the world that you are in command of your inner world. You are not driven by impulses, pride, or the need to be heard. You have the courage to pause, to reflect, and to allow life to unfold with patience. And in that pause, miracles often begin. Opportunities reveal themselves, and your life takes on a depth that words alone can never create. In the end, silence is not emptiness, it is fullness. It is not weakness, it is strength, the kind of strength that transforms your mind, your relationships, and your life itself. In the hustle and bustle of our daily lives, clarity is often the first casualty. Our minds are constantly bombarded with notifications, conversations, responsibilities, and noise from every direction. In such a chaotic environment, it's almost impossible to think clearly. This is why silence is not just a luxury, it is a necessity. When you embrace quiet, you give your mind the space it needs to organize, process, and reflect. Clarity is not something that can be forced. It emerges naturally when the noise stops, when you allow yourself a pause, and when you stop filling every moment with words and distractions. Speaking incessantly or overthinking without pause often clouds judgment. We make decisions too quickly, react emotionally, and regret our words or actions later. Silence acts as a filter for this mental clutter. It gives you the power to step back from a situation, observe it objectively, and understand it from multiple angles. When you're quiet, you start noticing things that were previously invisible. The subtle expressions of others, the underlying motives in a conversation, or the patterns in your own behavior. This awareness, born from quiet observation, is the first step toward clarity. Clarity also comes when you silence the inner chatter. Our minds are filled with countless thoughts, worries, and a what-if-see every day. When you stop speaking outwardly, you are often forced to listen inwardly, and it is in that listening that insight arises. Your mind begins to separate what is important from what is trivial. Solutions to problems that seemed unsolvable suddenly appear. Decisions that felt overwhelming become simple. The stillness of silence allows the fog of confusion to lift and reveals the path that was always there, waiting for you to notice it. Another important aspect of clarity through silence is that it prevents misunderstandings. So often conflicts arise not because of reality, but because of miscommunication. Speaking too soon, interrupting, or reacting without thinking can create chaos where there was none. When you choose silence, you give yourself the chance to gather facts, understand emotions, and respond thoughtfully. Your words then become precise and meaningful, carrying the weight of understanding rather than impulsiveness. This is not just intellectual clarity. It is emotional clarity, which is equally important in relationships, work, and life. Clarity also brings confidence. When your thoughts are organized and your mind is free from the noise of unnecessary chatter, you can express yourself with authority and calm. People are drawn to clarity because it signals mastery, not just over knowledge, but over the self. It is the kind of strength that does not need to shout to be heard. It quietly commands respect and inspires trust. Silence, therefore, is not emptiness, it is preparation. It is the canvas on which clear, thoughtful, and impactful words can be painted. Lastly, clarity that comes from silence has a long-lasting effect. Unlike the fleeting satisfaction of speaking without thinking, the insights and understanding that arise in quiet moments stay with you. They shape your decisions, guide your actions, and influence your perspective on life. It is in these quiet moments that wisdom is born. And wisdom, more than knowledge, is what truly transforms a life. When you practice silence, you are not just being quiet externally. You are allowing your mind to declutter, your thoughts to settle, and your inner wisdom to shine. And from this clarity, miracles often emerge, solutions you never imagined, opportunities you never noticed, and peace that words alone could never bring. One of the most overlooked benefits of silence is its power to protect relationships. Human connections are delicate, built on trust, understanding, and mutual respect. And yet, so many relationships crumble not because of major events, but because of careless words spoken in haste. A single angry comment, a sarcastic remark, or an impulsive accusation can leave scars that last years. Silence in this context is not withdrawal. It is a form of care. It is the conscious choice to hold back your words until they can heal rather than hurt. When we speak without thinking, we often communicate more of our ego than our intention. We react to situations based on pride, frustration, or impatience. In moments of conflict, our words can escalate a minor disagreement into a full-blown argument. But when we pause and choose silence, we allow ourselves the opportunity to understand the other person's perspective. We start observing rather than judging, listening rather than reacting. This act of restraint, though quiet, sends a powerful message that you value the relationship more than the need to be right or to win a momentary argument. Silence also creates space for empathy. When we stop filling every moment with our own thoughts and opinions, we begin to truly hear the other person. We notice their feelings, their strailings, their struggles, and the emotions that may not be expressed directly. This is how understanding deepens. People often do not need answers. They need someone who can listen, someone who can hold the space without interrupting or imposing. In these moments, silence speaks louder than words ever could, and relationships are strengthened in ways that casual conversation can never achieve. Another critical aspect of protecting relationships through silence is avoiding gossip and unnecessary criticism. Talking about others impulsively, passing judgments, or sharing unverified information may feel harmless in the moment, but it slowly erodes trust. Silence in this context becomes a shield. It allows you to step back, reflect, and choose integrity over impulse. It preserves your credibility and ensures that your words, when spoken, are meaningful and truthful. People begin to trust not just what you say, but the fact that you do not speak recklessly. This trust becomes the foundation of strong, enduring relationships. Silence also prevents the escalation of misunderstandings. Often, conflicts arise not from actions themselves, but from misinterpretation of words. A poorly timed comment or an ill-chosen phrase can create tension that could have been avoided with just a moment of pause. By practicing silence, you give yourself the chance to think before speaking, to ensure your words reflect your true intention rather than your temporary emotions. This mindful approach keeps relationships intact and nurtures a culture of respect and thoughtfulness. Furthermore, silence demonstrates maturity and emotional intelligence. It shows that you are in control of your reactions and that you are capable of responding rather than reacting. This quality is rare and deeply valued in friendships, family ties, and professional relationships alike. When people know that you speak with purpose, they are more likely to listen, respect your perspective, and engage in meaningful dialogue. In essence, choosing silence is an act of love and protection. It safeguards bonds from the damage of impulsive words, nurtures understanding, and creates a space where trust and respect can flourish. By speaking less and listening more, we allow our relationships to grow deeper, stronger, and more resilient. Ultimately, silence is not emptiness in communication. It is the conscious choice to honor the people we care about, ensuring that every word we speak carries value, meaning, and respect. Listening is one of the most undervalued skills in life, yet it is one of the most powerful. And true listening begins with silence. When you stop talking, you create a space to hear not just the words of others, but the subtle messages that life itself is constantly sending. Life communicates in whispers, through the tone of a friend's voice, the expressions of strangers, the lessons hidden in challenges, and the quiet nudges of your own intuition. Yet most of us are too busy speaking, reacting, or thinking to notice these whispers. By choosing silence, you tune into life in a way that words alone cannot achieve. Listening to life means paying attention to the small signs that often go unnoticed. A missed opportunity may actually be a direction to something better. A failure may carry the seed of growth and wisdom. The frustrations and struggles that we face are not meaningless. They are teachers if only we pause long enough to understand their lessons. Silence gives us the patience to reflect and recognize these patterns. It allows us to transform setbacks into stepping stones and confusion into clarity. When you are quiet, you begin to see life's rhythm, its timing, and the subtle ways in which it guides you. When you stop talking and start listening, you also connect more deeply with others. Most people do not want advice, they want to be heard. They want to know that someone sees them, understands them, and values their experiences. Silence allows you to listen with your full attention. without interruption or judgment. In those moments, conversations transform mere exchanges of words into meaningful connections. You realize that life is not just about your perspective. It is about understanding others, sharing empathy, and embracing the lessons that come from different experiences. Another profound aspect of listening to life is developing your inner awareness. In silence, you start hearing your own thoughts more clearly. The distractions of constant noise often drown out your inner voice, your intuition, and your true desires. But when you cultivate quiet, you can distinguish between fleeting impulses and meaningful guidance. You begin to understand what your heart is telling you, what your values truly are, and which path aligns with your purpose. Life, in this sense, speaks to you in subtle ways, and silence is the channel that allows you to hear it. Listening to life also teaches humility. When you remain quiet, you accept that you do not know everything and that wisdom often comes from unexpected sources, sometimes from a child's innocent question, sometimes from a stranger's passing advice, or sometimes from a quiet moment of reflection after a mistake. Silence opens the door to learning, growth, and transformation because it allows you to absorb rather than impose. Finally, when you learn to listen to life, miracles start to appear. Opportunities that you would have missed in the noise become visible. Solutions to problems that seemed insurmountable reveal themselves. Relationships deepen, understanding increases, and your own sense of purpose becomes clearer. Listening is not passive. It is an active engagement with life, a choice to honor its wisdom, and a practice that brings both peace and insight. In the end, listening to life through silence is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. It allows you to experience the world fully, to grow continuously, and to respond to life with clarity, empathy, and wisdom. By keeping quiet, you begin to understand that life is always speaking. You just need to be willing to listen. In a world that never seems to stop, inner peace has become a rare treasure. We are constantly moving, thinking, worrying, and speaking, and this endless activity can create chaos in the mind and heart. Yet peace is not something we find outside, it is cultivated within. Silence is one of the most powerful tools to achieve this inner tranquility. When you keep quiet, you give your mind a chance to rest, to unclutter, and to rediscover its natural calm. Without silence, the mind becomes like a stormy sea, with waves of thoughts, doubts, and anxieties constantly crashing against each other. But in silence, the waters settle, clarity emerges, and peace flows naturally. Inner peace is not about avoiding challenges or escaping from reality. It is about creating a calm center within yourself, a place that remains untouched by chaos, criticism, or confusion. Silence allows you to step away from the endless chatter, both external and internal, and reconnect with this center. When you stop speaking unnecessarily, you stop reacting impulsively, and you stop feeding the mind with distractions. Instead, you create a space to simply observe, breathe, and reflect. This act of quietness is an affirmation that you are in control of your mind, and that peace is a choice, not a circumstance. When we are constantly talking, we often reveal our fears, insecurities, and anxieties to the world without realizing it. Words can amplify inner turbulence, both for ourselves and for others. Silence, on the other hand, becomes a protective shield. It allows us to process our emotions internally before they spill out, to assess situations calmly, and to respond with composure rather than react with volatility. This control over the mind and emotions is a hallmark of inner strength and a prerequisite for lasting peace. Silence also deepens our connection with ourselves. When the noise stops, we start to notice what truly matters. We begin to recognize our core values, our genuine desires, and the patterns that disturb our peace. Through quiet reflection, we can identify the sources of stress and dissatisfaction and take conscious steps to address them. The more we practice silence, the more we cultivate awareness, mindfulness, and a sense of harmony within. Inner peace is not the absence of challenges. It is the presence of equanimity, the ability to remain calm and centered no matter what life brings. Another profound effect of silence on inner peace is its ability to reduce comparison and judgment. When we constantly engage in conversation, particularly in today's social media-driven world, it is easy to get caught up in opinions, expectations, and societal pressures. Silence frees us from this noise. It allows us to focus on our own journey, to measure our progress by our own standards, and to cultivate contentment that does not rely on validation from others. Peace emerges when we stop seeking approval and start honoring our own inner rhythm. Furthermore, silence nurtures gratitude. In quiet moments, we begin to notice the small miracles and blessings that are otherwise overshadowed by constant busyness. We hear the subtle joys in life, the laughter of a loved one, the beauty of nature, or even the stillness of a morning sunrise. These simple yet profound experiences remind us that life itself is a source of peace and fulfillment. Ultimately, inner peace is a gift we give ourselves through silence. It allows us to live with clarity, act with intention, and respond with compassion. It transforms our relationships, strengthens our mind, and stabilizes our emotions. When you embrace silence, you are not retreating from life. You are stepping into a space where miracles of calm, wisdom, and serenity can unfold naturally. In a world driven by instant results and constant stimulation, patience has become an almost forgotten virtue. We are accustomed to quick replies, immediate feedback, and rapid gratification, and yet life does not always operate at our preferred pace. This is where silence becomes a powerful ally, because it cultivates patience and encourages reflection. By choosing to remain quiet, we allow ourselves the time to pause, observe, and think before acting, which in turn leads to wiser decisions and more harmonious interactions. Patience is not passive waiting. It is an active, deliberate practice, and silence is its foundation. When we rush to speak, react, or make decisions, we often act out of impulse rather than insight. Words spoken hastily can escalate conflicts, create misunderstandings, or even close doors to opportunities that would have been available with a more thoughtful approach. Silence provides a pause, a space to breathe, analyze, and consider the consequences of our actions. In that pause, we discover that life is rarely as urgent as our emotions make it seem. The more we practice silence, the more we learn to separate what truly matters from what merely demands immediate attention. And this discernment is the essence of patience. Reflection naturally follows from silence. When we allow ourselves to step back and observe rather than react, we gain perspective. We start to see patterns in our behavior, the motivations of others, and the unseen factors influencing events around us. Reflection gives us clarity about our choices and the ability to act with intention rather than habit. It transforms ordinary moments into opportunities for growth, turning mistakes into lessons and challenges into stepping stones. Without silence, reflection is nearly impossible because the constant noise of thoughts, conversations, and distractions drowns out the inner voice that guides us toward wisdom. Patience cultivated through silence also enhances our relationships. In conversations and conflicts, the tendency to react immediately can create tension or even long-term resentment. By choosing to remain quiet and observe first, we give ourselves the opportunity to understand the other person's perspective, to consider our own words carefully, and to respond in a manner that promotes understanding rather than division. This restraint not only protects relationships, but also earns the respect of those around us, because it demonstrates emotional intelligence and self-control. Moreover, patience and reflection allow us to navigate life's uncertainties with grace. Life rarely unfolds exactly as we plan. Delays, obstacles, and unexpected changes are inevitable. Silence teaches us to endure these moments without panic or frustration. It reminds us that not everything requires immediate action and that sometimes the universe has its own timing. By stepping back and reflecting, we can align ourselves with the flow of life rather than resist it. And in doing so, we often find solutions, opportunities, and clarity that would have remained hidden if we had rushed. Another subtle but profound benefit of silence in developing patience is the strengthening of self-awareness. When we are quiet, we become aware of our triggers, our desires, and our limitations. We notice how our impatience or impulsivity may have led us into unnecessary conflict or stress. This awareness is the first step toward personal growth. The more we practice silence and reflection, the more we cultivate inner resilience, self-mastery, and the ability to act thoughtfully even in challenging circumstances. Ultimately, patience and reflection aren't just virtues, they are practical tools for a fulfilling life. Silence nurtures them, giving us the space to think, understand, and respond with wisdom. It allows us to move through life deliberately rather than reactively, to face challenges with calm, and to make decisions that are aligned with our highest values. In the quiet, we find that the world slows down just enough for us to catch our breath, gain perspective, and take the next step with confidence. Opportunities are all around us, yet they often go unnoticed. We live in a world full of noise, constant chatter, endless distractions, and the pull of social media, notifications, and obligations. In such an environment, it is easy to miss the subtle chances that life presents. Silence, however, creates a space for awareness, allowing us to recognize opportunities that are otherwise hidden in the chaos. By keeping quiet and observing carefully, we train ourselves to see beyond the obvious, to notice the small signs, and to act at the right moment. When we speak excessively or keep ourselves busy with constant activity, we often fail to notice patterns, possibilities, and openings. We are so focused on expressing ourselves, reacting to situations, or managing the noise of everyday life that we overlook the gentle nudges that life provides. Silence gives us the gift of observation. It allows us to step back, reflect, and notice connections that are not immediately visible. The quiet mind is naturally more perceptive, able to detect subtle cues, emerging trends, or opportunities that others may dismiss or ignore. Opportunities also appear when we are patient and do not force outcomes. Many of us believe that success requires constant effort, non-stop action, and relentless pushing. While effort is important, force often blinds us to the natural flow of life. Silence teaches us to stop rushing, to pause, and to trust the process. When we are quiet, we allow space for life to unfold and reveal what is possible. It is often in these moments of stillness that the right opportunity arrives. Sometimes in unexpected forms, sometimes in ways that we would never have imagined. Keeping silent also sharpens our intuition, which is essential for recognizing opportunities. The more we listen to ourselves and observe the world without distraction, the more attuned we become to subtle signals. Our inner voice, the quiet guidance of intuition, often points us toward paths that logic alone cannot see. By practicing silence, we develop the sensitivity to perceive these signals, to distinguish between fleeting temptations and meaningful opportunities, and to act decisively when the moment is right. Another important aspect is that silence creates space for creativity and problem solving. Opportunities are not always handed to us. Sometimes they are discovered through innovative thinking and fresh ideas. When we stop talking, we stop reacting and start reflecting. This reflective state allows the mind to connect ideas, imagine possibilities, and generate solutions that can open doors in both personal and professional life. Silence becomes a catalyst for insight, enabling us to recognize and create opportunities where others see obstacles. Silence also enhances our relationships, which in turn brings opportunities. People naturally gravitate toward those who listen more than they speak, who observe carefully, and who respond thoughtfully. By cultivating this presence, we attract mentors, collaborators, and partners who may offer guidance, support, or opportunities that would not have been available if we were constantly talking, complaining, or trying to force our way forward. In essence, silence strengthens our social and professional networks, making it easier for opportunities to emerge naturally. Ultimately, opportunities appear when we are calm, aware, and receptive. Silence is not merely the absence of words. It is a state of readiness. It allows us to notice, appreciate, and act upon the possibilities that life continually presents. Those who master the art of silence find that life has a way of rewarding them, not necessarily with loud or dramatic events, but with meaningful, transformative moments that quietly shape their destiny. In the stillness, we see that opportunity is never truly lost. It is always waiting for a mind that is ready to recognize it. Respect is one of the most valuable currencies in life. It is not something that can be demanded, bought, or forced. It is earned, cultivated through our actions, our words, and most importantly, through our restraint. Silence plays a profound role in earning respect because it demonstrates self-control, wisdom, and consideration for others. Those who speak carefully, listen attentively, and respond thoughtfully are naturally valued and admired. In contrast, those who speak impulsively or react without thinking often lose credibility, influence, and the trust of those around them. When we choose silence over unnecessary chatter, we show that we do not feel the need to prove ourselves constantly. People are naturally drawn to individuals who do not seek validation through constant talking or boasting. The quiet person carries a calm confidence that speaks louder than any words. This confidence is rooted in the understanding that true strength lies not in how much one can say, but in how meaningfully one can contribute when it truly matters. Respect grows when words are used sparingly but effectively because people recognize the thoughtfulness behind each expression. Silence also earns respect because it reflects emotional intelligence. Reacting impulsively to criticism, conflict, or provocation may satisfy a short-term urge, but it often damages relationships and reputations in the long run. Those who pause, observe, and respond with composure demonstrate maturity and self-mastery. This ability to control one's impulses and manage one's emotions communicates to others that you are reliable, trustworthy, and capable of handling challenges with grace. People naturally respect those who are measured in their words and deliberate in their actions. Another way silence contributes to respect is by fostering attentive listening. Most people are so eager to speak that they fail to listen meaningfully. Yet, listening is one of the most powerful ways to show respect. When you give someone your full attention, when you absorb their words without interrupting, and when you respond thoughtfully, you honor their perspective and validate their experience. This act of mindful silence communicates a depth of character that earns admiration, loyalty, and trust. Silence also protects your integrity, which is a cornerstone of respect. Speaking without thinking, spreading gossip, or engaging in unnecessary criticism can quickly erode credibility. By choosing silence, you create a reputation for honesty and discretion. People come to understand that when you speak, it is worth listening to because your words carry truth, wisdom, and intent. This perception builds influence quietly but powerfully. Respect is not about dominance or fear. It is about reliability, trustworthiness, and the thoughtful use of your voice. Furthermore, silence allows you to observe and understand the dynamics around you before acting. By paying attention, you can assess situations with clarity, discern intentions, and respond appropriately. This awareness not only prevents mistakes, but also demonstrates prudence and insight, qualities that are deeply respected in both personal and professional spheres. People respect those who act with understanding rather than reaction, who contribute meaningfully rather than speaking for the sake of speaking. Ultimately, respect is a reflection of your inner discipline, wisdom, and integrity. Silence is the tool that cultivates these qualities because it teaches restraint, encourages thoughtful reflection, and allows your actions and words to carry weight. When you master the art of silence, you discover that respect is not demanded or imposed. It is quietly earned, naturally and sustainably, by those who understand the value of listening, observing, and speaking with purpose. Life is full of small miracles, though most of them pass unnoticed because we are too busy speaking, thinking, or rushing through our days. Silence allows us to pause and recognize these subtle wonders, moments of grace and synchronicity that quietly shape our lives. These miracles are not always grand gestures or dramatic events. They are often simple, gentle occurrences, a smile from a stranger, an unexpected solution to a problem, or a moment of clarity that changes the course of a decision. When we practice silence, we attune ourselves to these hidden blessings, and suddenly, life seems far richer and more meaningful than we had realized. One of the ways silence allows small miracles to happen is by heightening our awareness. When we are constantly talking, reacting, or thinking about what to say next, we miss the tiny details around us. A quiet mind, however, notices patterns, coincidences, and subtle hints from the universe. Perhaps an opportunity appears in a conversation you barely spoke in, or a solution comes to mind while observing rather than reacting. These are the small miracles that emerge when you stop forcing life and simply pay attention. They remind us that life is always speaking to us, but only those who are still enough to listen can hear its guidance. Silence also creates space for gratitude, which is itself a kind of miracle. When we stop and reflect, we begin to notice the beauty in everyday moments, the laughter of children, the warmth of a cup of tea, or the peacefulness of a quiet evening. These seemingly ordinary experiences, when appreciated fully, can bring immense joy and contentment. By speaking less and observing more, we give ourselves permission to recognize these gifts, and in doing so, we cultivate a sense of abundance and wonder that feels miraculous. Another reason small miracles appear through silence is that it allows our intuition and inner guidance to speak. The constant chatter in our minds often drowns out the subtle nudges of insight, creativity, and inspiration. By embracing quiet, we connect with a deeper part of ourselves, one that understands possibilities beyond logic or immediate perception. This inner clarity can lead to breakthroughs, ideas, and opportunities that feel almost miraculous because they arrive when we least expect them but are perfectly timed for our growth. Silence also fosters patience, which is crucial for noticing miracles. Many of life's most meaningful moments require waiting, watching, and trusting in the timing of events. When we rush, speak impulsively, or force outcomes, we often overlook the gentle unfolding of life. But in silence, we develop the patience to see how circumstances align, how people and opportunities intersect, and how solutions reveal themselves naturally. It is in these quiet intervals that small miracles quietly weave themselves into the fabric of our lives. Furthermore, small miracles happen when we choose silence because it softens our presence in the world. People are drawn to calm, composed individuals who do not seek attention but radiate authenticity. In this state, relationships deepen, trust strengthens, and unexpected acts of kindness, support, or opportunity often appear. The world responds the energy we project, and silence allows us to project thoughtfulness, receptivity, and integrity, qualities that naturally invite small miracles into our lives. Ultimately, small miracles are everywhere. They are the hidden blessings that life sprinkles along our path. Silence is the key that helps us notice them, appreciate them, and align ourselves with their timing. By speaking less, listening more, and observing attentively, we allow life to unfold in ways that seem miraculous. Not because the world is magical, but because our awareness has expanded to recognize the extraordinary in the ordinary. Spiritual growth is one of the most profound outcomes of practicing silence. In a world that constantly demands our attention, energy, and opinions, it is easy to become disconnected from our inner self. We fill our days with noise, distractions, and external validation, rarely taking the time to look within. Silence, however, creates the sacred space necessary for self-reflection, inner exploration, and connection with something greater than ourselves. It is in quiet moments that we begin to understand who we truly are, what we value most, and how we are connected to the world around us. When we embrace silence, we give ourselves the opportunity to turn inward. This inward journey is the essence of spiritual growth. Without the constant chatter of the mind or the noise of the external world, we can observe our thoughts and emotions without judgment. We become aware of patterns, attachments, and fears that may have unconsciously influenced our actions. Through this awareness, we gain clarity about our purpose and direction in life. Silence allows us to peel away the layers of distraction and ego, revealing the deeper truths that guide our existence. Silence also strengthens our connection with intuition and higher consciousness. In the midst of noise, it is easy to overlook the subtle nudges, insights, and inspirations that guide us toward growth and fulfillment. By remaining quiet, we become receptive to this inner guidance. We learn to distinguish between fleeting impulses and meaningful insights, between superficial desires and deeper calling. This connection with intuition is a form of spiritual awakening, as it aligns our actions with our highest values and brings harmony between our mind, body, and soul. Another aspect of spiritual growth through silence is the cultivation of humility and surrender. Life often challenges us, presenting situations beyond our control. In these moments, silence teaches us to let go of the need to control everything, to trust in a higher plan, and to accept life as it unfolds. This surrender does not mean passivity. Rather, it is the recognition that we do not have all the answers and that there is wisdom beyond our understanding. Silence nurtures this humility, reminding us that true growth comes from openness, reflection, and the willingness to learn from every experience. Meditation, prayer, and contemplation are all enhanced through silence. These practices, when combined with quietude, allow us to connect deeply with our inner self and with the universe. We begin to experience a sense of peace, clarity, and connectedness that cannot be achieved in constant noise or distraction. Spiritual growth is nurtured not through busy action alone, but through stillness, reflection, and mindful presence. Silence becomes the fertile ground in which the seeds of wisdom, compassion, and understanding can grow. Furthermore, silence encourages gratitude and compassion, both of which are pillars of spiritual development. When we pause and observe life quietly, we notice the beauty, blessings, and interconnects around us. We begin to appreciate the efforts of others, the support we receive, and the lessons hidden in challenges. This awareness naturally fosters empathy, patience, and kindness, qualities that deepen our spiritual journey and enrich the lives of those around us. Ultimately, spiritual growth is not about external achievements or recognition. It is about inner transformation. Silence is the doorway to this transformation. It allows us to step away from the noise of the world, connect with our higher self, and align with the deeper purpose of our existence. By embracing silence, we cultivate wisdom, compassion, and self-awareness, laying the foundation for a life of fulfillment, meaning, and spiritual richness. In the quiet, we discover that the most profound miracles are not always external. They are the transformation and growth that happen within. One of the most remarkable aspects of silence is its power to transform life quietly and profoundly. True transformation rarely comes through loud declarations, constant talking, or external approval. It unfolds subtly within the depths of your mind, heart, and spirit. When you remain silent, you create the conditions for deep change. Your thoughts become clearer, your actions more intentional, and your perspective more aligned with wisdom. In the quiet, small shifts accumulate over time, creating a ripple effect that touches every aspect of your life. Transformation through silence begins with self-awareness. When the mind is quiet, you start noticing habits, beliefs, and patterns that no longer serve you. You become aware of the fears, attachments, and reactive tendencies that have been guiding your actions unconsciously. Awareness is the first step toward change because you cannot improve what you do not see. Silence gives you this awareness, gently exposing the areas in your life that need attention and nurturing. Another layer of transformation comes from reflection. Life constantly challenges us, but in the noise and chaos, it's easy to miss the lessons embedded in our experiences. Silence allows you to reflect deeply on successes, failures, relationships, and decisions. It gives you the space to extract wisdom from every moment. Over time, these reflections shape your character, helping you respond to life with patience, resilience, and understanding, rather than reacting impulsively or out of fear. Silence also transforms your energy and presence in the world. When you speak less and observe more, people notice a calm, grounded energy that is magnetic. Your presence becomes meaningful, and your actions speak louder than words. This quiet transformation affects relationships, career, and even personal growth. People begin to trust you, confide in you, and respect you because your behavior reflects thoughtfulness, consistency, and integrity. Perhaps the most profound transformation occurs internally. Silence nurtures inner peace, gratitude, and spiritual alignment. The small miracles, insights, and opportunities that appear when you remain quiet collectively shape the trajectory of your life. Over time, you find that you are less controlled by fear, less distracted by superficial concerns, and more aligned with your purpose. Transformation in silence is subtle but enduring. It changes you at your core. Finally, silence teaches that transformation is not instantaneous. It is a process. It is the accumulation of quiet decisions, mindful observations, and thoughtful responses. Like a seed that grows slowly underground before emerging as a strong tree, personal growth requires patience, consistency, and inner cultivation. By embracing silence, you allow transformation to happen naturally, without forcing it, and you become a person whose life radiates wisdom, peace, and authenticity. In essence, silence is the canvas on which transformation is painted. It quietly shapes your thoughts, your actions, your relationships, and your spirit. Those who master the art of silence discover that the most significant changes in life do not come from noise, force, or words. They come from quiet, mindful, and consistent inner work.